How are you?
I'm okay,
Oh, hanging in there?
hanging in there. How are you guys?
It's good to see you. We're doing Bert Nell wanted to be here with the interviews that we had today, and she was planning on it, and she's just not having a good
Yeah,
day. So I give her love. This is her baby, and
yeah,
I hope that you feel her spirit,
for
as
sure.
we talk about you today. So
Yes, yeah, I will give my love and prayers and thoughts and positive thoughts and vibes out there for her.
yeah, she's gonna love
I
watching it after for sure. So she
That's the
really,
one thing I understand about and one thing that I don't even think people realize when you have chronic illness is the motherhood part of it, and being a wife and a mother and how that affects you.
yeah,
When, it cramples down on you, and how much that takes away from you and your identity. And even though people tell you until you're blue in the face, it's okay, I got you,
yeah,
you're still gonna feel like a crappy person when you're
yeah,
feeling your lowest, no matter what.
yeah. You're
So
gonna be hard, have a tendency to be hard on yourself and things
very
like
hard on yourself.
yeah. Well, we have a lot to unpack that I'm really looking forward to talking to you about. There's some conditions, some of which I'm a little bit more familiar than others. Ehlers Danlos syndrome, craniocervical instability, Chiari malformation, comorbids, spinal cord injury, cervical fusion, cerebrospinal fluid leak, uh, Tarlov cysts, tailbone pain, chronic pain, connective tissue disorder. A lot of people are looking for connection, and especially
Yes.
in the chronic pain community, and they're finding it, and you're part of that. You're part of really making a difference, and so it's an honor to have you. I really appreciate you accepting our invitation to have you on,
Well,
and
thank you for having
yeah, absolutely.
thing that I don't even think people realize when you have chronic illness is the motherhood part of it, and being a wife and a mother and how that affects you.
Yeah,
It cramples down on you, and how much that takes away from you and your identity. And even though people tell you until you're blue in the face, it's okay, I got you,
yeah,
you're still gonna feel like a crappy person when you're
yeah,
feeling your lowest, no matter what.
yeah. You're
So
gonna be hard, have a tendency to be hard on yourself and things
very
like
hard on yourself.
some of the conditions that you have. So EDS or Ehlers Danlos syndrome, craniocervical instability, Chiari malformation, comorbids, spinal cord injury, cervical fusion, cerebrospinal fluid leak, uh, Tarlov cysts, tailbone pain, chronic pain, connective tissue disorder.
The main thing is having Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, because the Ehlers-Danlos have these comorbids. So most of my stuff is all comorbids of the Ehlers-Danlos. I guess it started as a kid, but I brushed it off, or I guess Gen X and raised by boomers, they told you to, shake it off and be tough. And if you're not
Mhm.
tough, then, you know, you felt proud that if you toughed it out, your parents would be proud of you.
Yeah,
So, that kind of thing. It wasn't really that big of a deal. There was, if I rolled my ankle when I would run, certain things like that, like, joints hurting, I can pop them in and out, and kind of do this circus thing. But as a kid, you just, you get that 2 minutes of fame because your knee is bending the wrong way.
yeah, yeah.
It
Because you've
seems
got
like, or if you're over flexible, like when I was in ballet, everybody told my mom I looked like this most beautiful, graceful ballerina. And my mom was so proud of that. But that was because my joints were overextending. And I had
yeah,
really good muscle tone because I was overcompensating on keeping my joints together. So I had this really good I was really super thin with muscle tone, but my joints would pop out. So I guess all these little things, like I couldn't run them. And then leading up to high school, I couldn't run. Like everybody had to run that mile in gym. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Yes, I do.
I would start out running. I don't even know how long. It was very short, where I would run and I'd get the stabbing pain in my ribs. And I guess everybody has that has Ehlers-Danlos. Almost everybody has it, an Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it's called costochondritis, or I'm saying the word wrong, but it's something like that. Those two, costo and condor, put together, something to do with your rib cage and inflammation. And it was a real thing. And then in gym class, I was like, the thinner girl with the other girls or boy that was a little bit overweight and couldn't run that mile. I was walking with them, and that was another red flag, I guess. But I have POTS too, but it's not as bad as some people, I guess. So I never really consider myself like a severe POTS patient. But I did have some in my 20s. I had a few kids in my 20s, 21 and 24. And I always say, if you could have your kids when you're younger, than older. Because my oldest is 23 and then 20. So she'll be 21 in December, those two. And it worked out great for me because I had kids at 36 and 41. And that was pretty detrimental. That's when all my symptoms started, at 36. But going back, in my 20s, the only thing, I guess, besides everything in my childhood, I just explained, coming out of the shower, I felt very faint, very tired. Every time I took a shower, I had to lay down flat, either flat on the bed or on the edge of the tub to get my bearings. And apparently, looking back, when I found out I had Ehlers-Danlos, those were some severe POT issues. But I just waited it out. I didn't even think to tell the doctor about that. Like it wasn't happening to me in that moment in the doctor's office. To me, it didn't seem like I should even bring it up, going back to that time where, you kind of.
Did you deal with dislocations at all?
Yes. I sublocks all my life, all as I could, and I could pull my joints out. Like that was one thing I could do, and pop them back in, but it wasn't like painful until I had my son, 21. I dislocated my hip fully for the first time. And that was me in the last couple months of my pregnancy, trying to roll over in bed. And I gained 80 pounds for my first. And I thought it was because I gained all this weight and I'm pregnant and my, hips hurt all the time with him. So, yeah, I didn't even tell the doctor about that either. We just met my husband at the time and I would put my hip back. I knew what it was and I didn't know it was Ehlers-Danlos. I knew my hip was dislocated and it was in the middle of the night. And he just popped it back in and then he got really good at doing that.
God. That kind of help you out, right? Like just.
I was only 21. I mean, like 22. No, I was 22. Like towards the end, I was 22 when I had him. So, no, I was 21. Oh my God, I don't even know. Anyway, yeah, I was between 21 and 22. And yeah, he would get very good at that. And then when I had Hunter, the numbing cream they give you for the stitches and stuff, that didn't work. The shots, that was another thing. I guess people that have Ehlers-Danlos don't they don't crap, the numbing doesn't work on them. So like dental procedures, that's the same numbing that goes down there when they're fixing stitches for pregnant women. Didn't work. I felt every stitch. And that was brushed aside too. Yeah, like the doctors just said, hold on, I'll put more in there. And eventually it did start working, but it should have worked the first time. But not until I had my third. And in my 30s, I was 36 when I had her, Ayla. I had a really bad episiotomy, stuff that put your back, the numbing in your back for having a baby. I can't think of the word. Epidural, thank you. So I was having the epidural. This is where it all started. All my symptoms started crashing down when I was 36. I had the epidural and I heard him say, "Oh, we got to put in another one." I go, "What?" And he's like, "We got to redo your epidural." I'm like, "I just spent 25 minutes for you to put this in."
Yeah.
It was horrible. And I said, "Okay, I'm already in the position. I'm already wanting the pain to go away, just get it done." And my doctor comes barging in and says, "Why is my patient off the fetal monitor?" So she was yelling at the nurse, my doctor, and it wasn't the nurse's fault. It was the anesthesiologist. And he ended up doing it right, getting me back on the fetal monitor. And all it did was shut down one leg. I guess that was the Chiari not blocking. It was blocking, a lot of the medicine from numbing me.
Really?
So it just went down my right leg, and my right leg was paralyzed for 24 hours after that. I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. My husband had to help me. So that was what started the headaches and stuff, like the very detrimental. I've had headaches here and there, but nothing that I thought was normal headaches.
So during the epidural, they did something
pulled it out.
that they wasn't supposed to do. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. He pulled it out. Something happened. He pulled out the first one and he said, "I put it in wrong." The numbing cream they give you for the stitches and stuff, that didn't work. The shots, that was another thing. I guess people that have Ehlers-Danlos don't they don't crap. The numbing doesn't work on them. So like dental procedures, that's the same numbing that goes down there when they're fixing stitches for pregnant women. Didn't work. I felt every stitch. And that was brushed aside too. Yeah. Like the doctors said, "Hold on, I'll put more in there." And eventually it did start working, but it should have worked the first time. But not until I had my third. And in my 30s, I was 36 when I had her, Ayla. I had a really bad episiotomy, stuff that put your back, the numbing in your back for having a baby. I can't think
epidural.
of it. Epidural, thank you. So I was having the epidural. This is where it all started. All my symptoms started crashing down when I was 36. I had the epidural and I heard him say, "Oh, we got to put in another one." I go, "What?" And he's like, "We got to redo your epidural." I'm like, "I just spent 25 minutes for you to put this in."
Yeah.
It was horrible. And I said, "Okay, I'm already in the position. I'm already wanting the pain to go away, just get it done." And my doctor comes barging in and says, "Why is my patient off the fetal monitor?" So she was yelling at the nurse, my doctor, and it wasn't the nurse's fault. It was the anesthesiologist. And he ended up doing it right, getting me back on the fetal monitor. And all it did was shut down one leg. I guess that was the Chiari not blocking. It was blocking, a lot of the medicine from numbing me. Really? So it just went down my right leg, and my right leg was paralyzed for 24 hours after that. I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. My husband had to help me. So that was what started the headaches and stuff, like the very detrimental. I've had headaches here and there, but nothing that I thought was normal headaches.
So during the epidural, they did something
pulled it out
that they wasn't supposed to do. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. He pulled it out. Something happened. He pulled out the first one and he said, "I put it in wrong." And I just was already there in the position in pain. I'm like, just get it done, and I should have not trusted him putting it in the second time. I wasn't thinking. You're not in your right state of mind in that point.
Well, you're trying to just get relief, right?
Yeah. And I think if my husband was in the room, things would have been a lot different.
Was that
being said,
did that start some of the triggering of some of these other?
That's what my husband thinks, is all that started. Maybe my Chiari wasn't all the way so I have a Chiari, the brain decompression, which is in your spinal cord, right at the top of your spinal cord. He thinks maybe I had the Chiari, but it sucked down even more after that event with the epidural.
So
Like
EDS is connective, kind of a connective tissue that with your bones and muscle. Chiari malformation. Can you kind of explain? Some of these are terms that people.
Yeah, so the Chiari is your back of your brain is called the cerebellum, and that gets herniated into your spinal column in the back, you know. So you got the brain, and the back is your cerebellum, and that is not, it's your brain, but it's not attached to the rest of the stuff. So it gets sucked into this. If you have a smaller opening, the foramen magnum, so it's the hole, as you will, like this, and it gets herniated down where it's not supposed to be. So some people's are 17 millimeters. I've heard.
Really?
Yeah. Mine was only 7. It was like a cork. So it was blocking all CSF flow. And I had really bad towards the end of me trying to seek treatment or a diagnosis, as you will. It was 7 millimeters, and it was blocking all CSF. So all my CSF was stuck in my head. I had hydrocephalus. They had diagnosed me with that before my decompression. So they call it a decompression surgery. And what they do is go in the back of your skull. They draw out your skull first, and then your dura. And then they go in, and either they will zap your cerebellum. So they zap it like where it shrinks back up, or they'll cauterize it. And sometimes they don't even go in your dura. Some people, they just open up that space more. So it depends on your doctor, what your doctor feels like is the best treatment for you. But mine went all the way in. And she was amazing because even though my symptoms came back 6 months later, it wasn't the cerebellum that I thought. Like when that happened, the Chiari surgery, and I did feel my hearing. So I was losing my hearing. I had severe tinnitus in my ears. So like the ringing in your ears, it was so severe at times. I couldn't even take care of my little toddler at the time, Ayla. You know, she's 8 now.
Yeah.
So she was 2-3 years old. And I was laying in bed. What's wrong with me? You know, so we saw it after all this. And we felt like it was a miracle. And within 6 months, all my symptoms came back. And this is where they're like, oh, you might have EDS if this is happening to you. And so I went to see a genetic doctor, and he told me basically, if you don't have VEDS, which is vascular Ehlers-Danlos, you're fine. You don't need a diagnosis. You don't need this and that. And that was in Royal, I'm not going to say any names, but that was in Royal Oak, Michigan. And he also misdiagnosed my son. So with, not diagnosing him very well. I guess he wasn't as educated. I shouldn't even, it was the education, lack of education part of a lot of issues with Ehlers-Danlos and the medical field. It's just the lack of education. But yeah, so the Chiari gets herniated into your spinal column, and you can get decompression. So they call it Chiari decompression. And
so you have that going up here. You have the spinal cord injury kind of down below.
So what I had was that was a tethered cord syndrome. So a lot of people, it kind of goes like this trifecta. So you have the Chiari, and a lot of people get their CCI, which is cranial cervical instability, Chiari fixed in one time. Mine got done 2 years apart. So so the cranial cervical instability, like Chiari, cranial cervical instability, and the tethered cord are what they call like the trifecta of Ehlers-Danlos in your spinal cord, brain spinal cord. So let me back that up, because I'm going to go to cranial cervical instability is where your head is slightly falling off your neck. Mine was 8 to 9 millimeters in flexion and extension, but also my C1 and C2. So right below that. So your head to C1 is where your cranial cervical instability happens. Like I said, extension, flexion, it was sliding off between 8 and 10 millimeters, actually. One side was 8 to 9 and the other. But C1 to C2 is atlantoaxial instability. And so my C1 and C2 were at a 90% fasted loss. So when those two, when you turn your head, that's where that's that very, I don't even know, the vein that kind of crosses in there. Jugular, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, artery.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly which one. It's a main one.
Yeah.
So it goes in there. And so when you turn, I'm not even supposed to turn this much, but you turn your C1 and C2, that's your, to look around, you know, you have that extra vision to look behind you. And I don't have that anymore because I'm fused. Mine was at 90% fasted. So when I say fasted loss, when you're turning, my bone, 90% of it was showing and it wasn't supposed to. And I guess mine was pathological at 45 degrees. And I was basically dislocating my C1, C2 every time I turned. So he spent these amazing almost 2 hours with me explaining what's going on and why my symptoms this way and all this validation. And I told him my experience with a genetic doctor in Royal Oak, Michigan. He's like, oh no, you're hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos. Decided to do surgery on me, like approve me for this craniocervical instability, and that's being fused from your head to C1 and C1 to C2 posteriorly. And within a month, I was on my way to surgery, which wasn't his normal. I'm sure he does it to extreme cases, but usually when he first meets a brand new patient, he makes them wait 6 months. But apparently I didn't need that. So within a month, and it was on my mom's birthday, I was in my first set of fusions, spinal fusions.
And
so that being,
use it.
I'm sorry.
Use it together.
So they take a plate on your head. Like apparently this is I picked out what my husband, neurosurgeon's own patent was. There's a plate that goes in the back of your head. And at this time, he usually goes in and fixes those Chiari decompress, you know, the Chiari cerebellum, Chiari decompress. He goes in and does that first. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. So
I have a problem
making sure that if there's any protrusion that's coming
he does
out,
the Chiari too, and then he comes
up
back
where it's supposed to be, and then he's
me,
kind of aligning everything, right, and putting it back.
Yes, it's all intertwined. But I had mine 2 years prior. So he puts a plate, fuses from the plate to C1 and C1 and C2. And as he's doing this, we're in like the prone position with strapped to this metal thing where they're pulling your head. You know, you're obviously in surgery and sleeping. Mm-hmm. But it's like a thing where they drill into your head and they pull it. And they get the right, and then they go in and get a CT done. They pull it over you, make sure that traction is the exact right amount of traction. They need to fuse that you. Yeah. You got your head C2 or C1 to C2. And he spends time over and over, 45 minutes. Nope, that's not right. And you'll pull it more and pull it back. So I'm pain now. I deal with pain. And after all that trauma within 4-year period, I think my body now, I think TikTok made me realize this, that I have this trauma with my body and it's bogging my body down in more pain. And I think, I know it's not, this is all like self-reflection. Okay. This is not a doctor telling me this, but at this point, with everything that's happened to my body, I think the pain, everything's just gotten worse. And then I've had some family trauma as all this was going down. So I just wanted my pain to go away. And I wanted my pain to go away to a point I can start like walking every day or doing some kind of Pilates where I'm not overstretching, not yoga, but strengthening instead of, and I'm just starting all this now. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to play with the kids more. My 2 little ones more now. And even my 20-year-old's telling me she's starting to see a little bit of me coming back. That has helped being in Florida, the Mayo Clinic, and now they found a tumor, what I thought was a pituitary tumor. It ended up being, that's my newest thing now. And it seems still, and it's not EDS related. So mind-boggling that I would have something else going on with my brain. But I have a Rathke cleft cyst growing in my pituitary. So I guess I was born with it, and it fills up with don't know, whatever cyst fluid. It's in my pituitary. It acts just like a pituitary tumor. Rathke cleft cyst. So I have that going on. Plus, so they're waiting for my CSF. They gave me these bags. Oh, my husband. The Mayo Clinic down in Florida. Another thing, a reason why Florida is helping so much is they gave me these things to fill up. Not fill up, obviously, as much as you can out of your nose. It's the first time nobody would. I went to the ER gushing with CSF. That's brain fluid. So there's as a connective tissue disorder, and like a lot of medical professionals don't know, I have a really thin dura. Even the person that was back there, my neurosurgeon in Detroit, she said your dura was really thin. You got really thin, and then another thing was the Tarloff cyst. That's the whole thing on the bottom too, and it all is because of connective tissue. My connective tissue is really thin in my dura, and so every time I have high pressure, I'll have it come out of my nose. It'll come out of my nose, or these cysts form with my nerve roots form on the bottom. So I have 4 of them. They're called Tarloff cysts.
Oh, you guys are all just inspiring, right? And we just,
I think that's why we all watch our videos. We all watch each other because it's so inspiring and makes us feel a little bit better.
And I love it. And now we have an opportunity to be able to have you be added to all the people. You're part of the Spoonful family. We'll be in touch. I can't thank you enough. And I know Nell's going to be thrilled when she's able to watch it. And I'll give, your love to her as well.
Yeah, she has my email too. If she ever wants to reach out, just to talk to somebody also, and no strings attached. And like I said, I could put something down for a couple months and pick it back up where I started too. And I got 2 little ones. So but I also would like to, be that person. I understand.
It's been a blessing for us to have you join us, and you're amazing.
Thank you. You guys are a blessing. It's amazing that I feel honored that you guys picked me for an interview. So it's great. I'm glad to get my voice out there, and maybe somebody else that's been late diagnosed later in their life with Ehlers-Danlos, and not knowing that these little idiosyncrasies would lead up to something major. So not alone.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to following you, and thank you for continuing to watch our videos. How can people get a hold of you how can they follow you? What's the best way?
Forever 2019. Sometimes when I get settled in my new house, I have Twitch too. I think I put the number 4 ever on Twitch. I plan to do some more Legos with my little ones on Twitch. And I did it a few times. And then Instagram, I think it's Fused Forever. The same way. I think my Instagram's linked somewhere in
the link tree or something.
But my Snapchat's private, and ambruno77@gmail.com too is my email. And if I don't like you, I'll just delete you or block you. That too, you can put that down below on a link or whatever. But if anybody needs to reach out and just wants to shoot me an email, I'm there too.
Be sure to follow her, you guys. I don't have
a PO box. Don't want any gifts, or we have plenty. I have plenty of. I don't need anything. I don't. We're not like that, and I don't want any extra stuff. We have too much Barbies, and it just keeps going.
No Barbies.
I've been momming for 23 years, and I have a 3-year-old. So this is continuing going on for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'll forever have stuff.
Oh, well, it's been amazing talking with you today. And again, guys, make sure you go and follow her and connect with her. But we'll be in touch. You go and have a great weekend. And thank you again for joining us.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you so much.
Tell Nell I said hi.
I will. She gives her love.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.